Things are happening. I heard a new one just the other day. I know this lady who is about 50 years old, and she spoke to me and she was like, Anu, would you believe what my husband said to me last week? I'm like, what did he say? She said that her husband told her that his doctor told him that to reduce his risk of getting prostate cancer, he needs to visit the other room more often. I'm like, okay. And she tells me that she's very angry. She's upset. She's going on and on, asking, how insensitive could the doctor be? She has just commenced her journey to menopause, and visiting the other room is the last thing on her mind. She's having headaches, she's sweating, she's anxious, everywhere hurts, she's bloated, her body is not feeling like her own, she feels like she's going crazy. And this doctor is talking about visiting the other room. She was really upset. So I had to, calm her down. I let her know that, okay, I understand what you're talking about. And I'm not a doctor, I'm a menopause practitioner, but I will do the research and I will get back to you. So what did the research tell me? I asked the question, is there research to support the theory that frequent trips to the other room reduces the risk of prostate cancer? And the Mayo Clinic has an article, from dated June 14, 2024. And it says, at this time, there is no conclusive evidence that frequent trips to the other room reduces the risk of prostate cancer. However, some studies have suggested that men with a higher frequency of visits to the other room may have a slightly lower risk of prostate cancer. However, the difference appears to be very small, and other studies haven't supported this conclusion. So I did further research. I wanted to understand, how does a man actually prevent prostate cancer? Because I'm not just my sister's keeper, I'm also my brother's keeper. So like all cancers, prostate cancer has certain risk factors apparently that cannot be avoided. One of them is age, the second one is race, and the third one is our genes. And that as men grow older, their chances of developing prostate cancer increase. An African man has higher chances of having prostate cancer. In addition, if his brother or his father or his blood relative had prostate cancer, then he's more likely to also have it. So preventing prostate cancer, can be quite difficult if you have these risk factors. But it doesn't mean that, that's the end of the matter. There's always things like, like early diagnosis. That's why people should get their prostate tests done. But then what can men do, to reduce their risk of having prostate cancer? So it all lies around their diet and then exercise. So concerning the diet, they think that maybe the diets that African men eat, which are heavy in terms of animal proteins, can cause DNA damage and lead to cancer. That's what they said. I didn't say it, they did. Some researchers are saying that they don't completely understand the relationship between diet on one hand and prostate cancer prevention, but studies suggest that eating habits may help. For instance, like reducing fat intake, eating more fruits and vegetables, incorporating a wide variety, of fresh fruits and vegetables. They specifically mentioned tomatoes, as being shown to slow the growth of prostate cancer. They also mentioned green tea and soy, which can help somebody who already has prostate cancer now, can also help to prevent, or should I say reduce the risk of those who have a higher chance of developing prostate cancer. They also say we should avoid charred meat. Charred meat is from frying or grilling at high temperatures may reduce a chemical compound that leads to cancer. When I read this, I thought about suya, because suya is charred meat. Me, I like suya. I don't take it all the time, but that's another story for another day. So they also said that we should maintain a healthy weight. They said obesity can be a risk factor for developing a more aggressive prostate cancer. And they say it's very important for men to, maintain a healthy weight. And the research also says that you can do this by getting regular exercise. They say that exercise can reduce inflammation, it improves immune function, and fight some of the health effects of a sedentary lifestyle, and all of this can prevent cancer. They also say that men should stop smoking and drink less. Other things that can be done are to increase the vitamin D, and because they say most people don't get enough vitamin D, and this can help lower the risk of prostate cancer. Interesting, John Hopkins also says that more visits to the other room are also be helpful. So let's be our brother's keeper. Let's sit our husbands down and talk to them about the things they can do to reduce their risk of developing prostate cancer. And concerning visits to the other room, let's explain to them that it's not our fault. They should please try and be patient. They should please try and understand this journey to menopause. It causes so many things. Our libido will almost like evaporate, right? And communication is so important. And then now that we know that the rivers of Africa are drying up, let's help nature with some lubricants, and then we'll all be fine. So ladies, remember to be your sister's keeper and your brother's keeper.